We breaking walls down, the legacy is a new season. We crossing lines now, but you know we ain't causing no treasons. We on a new wave, dropping jewels in the man cave. She like the game, so we ran plays. She held it down in the dog days.
Man Cave with Southside Dre. We have a distinguished guest. Actually, I'm very excited about this guest. He has his own podcast, which makes this thing a lot easier for me because he know the ropes. You know, he had an understanding of how all this goes. I want him to introduce himself because he got so much going on. I don't want to leave anything out. Salid Sims, my brother. What's happening, man?
Hey, man. Glad to be here.
Facts.
So glad that you called me to come be here because I know we tried to hook it up for season 1.
Facts.
Didn't get to do it, but everything happens when it's supposed to happen. Yep. But like you said, I'm Salid Sims. I have a podcast called King Shit Talk. I'm on there every Thursday on my YouTube channel, King Shit Productions. I also have a business, kingshitproductions.com.
Yes, sir.
I work with the disabled and stuff like that too. Okay. Have a gang of kids that keep me doggone busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Absolutely, man. Like I say, man, we are pleased. You know, for prison, I know you had to, take a little drive to get here and all that stuff, man. That's dope. You know what I mean? And, we just happy to have you here, bro. We're going to go into some really, really good conversation today. Okay. Matter of fact, I think we touched on this. We had a Twitter space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was me, you, and 2 people.
Yeah.
Humble beginnings.
Yeah, I thought you were going to keep going with it too.
I'll get back at it, man. It's just, it's something that I want to kind of get into. And the reason why I even started doing it was because I feel like a lot of people are more willing to talk versus to just talk versus be seen talking.
You're right.
You know what I mean? So it's like a phone conversation with a group of people and people can, just kind of let it all hang out. You know what I mean? Which is what I'm striving for. But, social media, bro. Yep. Like you got to build, stay consistent. You know what I mean? But today, man, I want to go back, man. We touched on some things. And what's big for both of us is the Black family unit. Yeah. Right. So today, and I want to go ahead and before we get into this conversation, we're gonna get the disclaimer out. So
okay.
We're going to be talking about Black family and things of that nature, but we want to have an understanding that we all know that the best way to procreate is when you're married, right?
There you go.
When you're with your partner that you've already committed to and all those things, right?
Yep.
But let's have a real conversation.
No, it's going to be real.
A lot of times that's not the case.
Most of the time that's
not the case, right? So we want to have a very open conversation about the things that happen. I understand that, we know that the best way to steer away from some of these conflicts and challenges, some of them, abstinence, condoms and things of that nature, just to try to prevent birth control. But what do we do when that fails? All right. So do you think the Black family is broken? And I know your answer to this, but what do you think?
I don't think the Black family is broken. I think it's damaged.
Okay.
I think that in most cases it seems broken because there are too many eyes inside of the house. There's too much going on outside of the mother and the father that causes it to appear to be broken. And like speaking for myself, that's what I try to cut down on. It's too many eyes and ears and mouths in family business.
Yep.
Because a lot of times if you have one person looking at a situation a certain way, like let's say the father is not in the house.
Okay.
Off tops, most people think it's connected to either him just not wanting to be there or he cheated or something like that without fully knowing. So therefore, the fillers get put out there. Oh, this is what it was. It was this or that. And so it seems broken. Right. But there are a whole lot of things that go on that are not even like that, but people just don't know.
Right.
So appearance is everything.
Right. So that's a dope way to put it, man. Damaged, not broken. You know what I mean? So I want to go back to pre-everything. So we're talking about when we bring children into the world. All right. So man and a woman come together. let's say a man and a woman have a conversation and say they both agree that they're not ready for children.
Yeah.
You know, they both agree they're not ready for children. And just by chance, something happens and pregnancy occurs.
Uh-huh.
Now, in this situation, the man is still, you know, I'm still there. I don't think we're ready. I don't want children. But the woman, she wants to go ahead and have it. Do you think that man should be held responsible for the upbringing or raising or financially and just fatherhood? Should a man under certain circumstances be able to abort fatherhood?
Yes. Only one. Hold on. Now, I know a lot of people not going to like that. Yes, that's why I'm going to explain it.
Okay.
There is only one time where I feel like that should be the case.
Okay.
And that's if by some kind of way the man didn't know that his sperm was going to be in that woman. If she drugged him and took it or something like that.
Okay.
Anything other than that, that man's responsible. Because no matter what I say to a woman, if we both say we don't want to have kids, right?
Right.
But I still get in that bed, my actions say otherwise.
Right.
Because we all know how kids get here.
Absolutely.
So you could say one thing, but if you're doing another, then you got to stand up for what it is that comes from that.
Absolutely.
So I don't believe in that things happening by chance thing. It's premeditated.
Right.
We know we're going to have sex. Now, we tell ourselves we're going to pull out or we going to do this. That's what we tell ourselves.
All of that,
but how many times, I ain't going to get in your business, but I know I've said that many times.
I plead the fifth, bro.
And didn't, you know what I mean, do what I said I was going to do. So
I got you. What it sounds like you saying, really saying, like, and I hate to say it this way, but like a man in that situation, the scenario that I just used, a man has to protect himself. If he stands on, I don't want children, it's his responsibility to protect himself from even her decision later on.
Yeah.
So basically, guys, you got to protect yourself from even her decision later on. And that's big because a lot of us don't think about it that way. We think we have a conversation with somebody, there's an understanding there, you know what I mean? But ultimately, the mother, the woman, she's totally in control of that situation. And then we have legislation, man. They just, what was it? Roe versus Wade? What is it?
Yeah.
Where they're trying to abolish all of that so that there is no choice at all. So it's, anti-pro-choice for the woman. But ultimately, as it stands now, I mean, and even just naturally, pro-choice is a real thing. It's the woman's decision whether or not the baby's going to happen. So you can be there. I want to get into what happens after that because this is where I think things begin to dissolve quickly in relationships like that. Let's say same scenario. Mother goes on to have the child. There's already conflict now, right? And here's the stark difference that I see between mother and father for me is a woman has that beautiful blessing of being able to connect to that child while it's developing in her body.
Yep.
Therefore, that's an automatic connection, right? Fathers don't get that initially. So it's very, very important, the relationship with the mom on those early stages, because that develops a whole lot of that conflict. So you say you have kids, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So were you there during those stages? Pregnancy. Whole nine.
And that's what I was going to say too. It's when you brought up that relationship, that's the important part because fathers have the ability to connect with that child at the same moment that mother is, if their relationship with the mother is on point. Now, when you get situations where, like you were saying earlier, they go into it and maybe it's a one-night stand or maybe these people just having fun or whatever, and then they get pregnant, then that connection's not going to be there like that. But when you're going into situations, even sometimes without being married, if you're in relationship with this woman and you care for her,
Right.
When she becomes pregnant, you're automatically attached as well.
Right.
To that child because you first had that foundation with that woman.
With her.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I thankfully 95% of my pregnancies,
right.
children, I had that connection with the mother.
Right.
So as soon as she was like, I'm pregnant, I was boom. Happy, joy, the whole nine,
right.
Playing music through the headphones on
right.
the stomach. I was doing all that.
And that's huge. Because what happens, you activated something that's going to be for life now, instead of going the other way.
Mm-hmm.
What you did was you activated that fatherhood right there, that connection right there with that child even through the mom. So what happens in a lot of situations when you don't have that, that's when you get the conflict that what we hear later, years later is, and granted, sometimes it's for different reasons.
Yeah.
But I think the catalyst to it all, a lot of times, is that piece of connection right
mm-hmm.
there. And it just deteriorates the entire situation. So now you got the deadbeat.
Yep.
Now you got the guy that don't want to be there, and she's upset, and he's upset, and it's the feeling. It's about their feelings
mm-hmm.
more so than that child. But that man never connected with the child. And I'm gonna get real personal.
Yeah.
How I know this, because I've been in that situation before, right, where the original connection wasn't there. So
mm-hmm.
I see it on both sides. But I've also been in a situation to where it was there, like you just said,
the
whole time. She got pregnant. I was there. I was happy about it. It develops that way. But once you grow a certain level of conflict
mm-hmm.
between the two people, it gets different. It gets real different. And all of a sudden, that conflict, it deteriorates the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
My next question, and I don't know if you can even speak to this, but we have the custodial parent and the non-custodial parent, right? Which have you been? I've been on both sides, right? So I have, my son with me, raising him up. So at the end of the day, I understand what that's like. And then
mm-hmm.
you have the non-custodial side where you have to do things differently. So all we ever hear everywhere is, he just want to party and he just want to do this. And my issue with that has always been, if a person cares about that child for real, that's really not the lifestyle.
Yep.
For you, is it? Have you been on the non-custodial side, so where your kids weren't living with you?
I've been on both.
Okay.
Yep.
So which would you say one side is easier than the other?
I personally think, now let me say this. According to the mother, the custodial is harder.
Right.
But that was the easier one for me, so I think.
Why was that easier for you?
A lot of those stressors that are there, I'll speak personally. When it was non-custodial, a lot of the pains and anxieties and stresses of not knowing what the child's doing, not knowing who they're around, what's going on with them, are they being taken care of properly? Wow. All of that stuff weighs on you.
Right.
But when you're the custodial, you see everything. There. You're right there. So you're more hands-on. You're more in control of certain things. So that was easier for me.
Right. Same. And I say this, and I probably haven't said it on record or publicly, but I say it all the time in conversation. I'm not even, and it's not even to say, because it's not at all to say that it's easier, like as far as, or that it's easy to be a custodial parent, because it's not.
Yeah.
There are certainly challenges that many challenges that exist in that as well. But when you care about the child, that peace of mind, that the reward of seeing the results of your hands-on, being there, I've been in a situation where it's been a different city. And it's like trying to live two separate lives. Yep. You know what I mean? So you're trying to take care of the bills in your household. You have child support that you have to send out, which we can get into that.
Doggone right.
It's a bill. Yeah. It's literally a bill that I've seen guys default on and go to jail. I know personally know guys who have done 9 months in jail for failure to pay child support. And I know that there are guys that they may deserve some sort of punishment because they just refuse to do it. Mm-hmm. But it didn't matter because these guys just fell on hard times. Yeah. So what happens in a home when you fall on hard times? Because it happens in the home. You restructure things. You sometimes you figure out, okay, well, maybe, we have to not do this and do that. But that set amount, or you, like, for example, if you have a light bill and it gets up to $400 and you can't pay the whole thing, what do? You can make an arrangement. Yeah. We've all kind of been there. You can make, there are, that I've seen from my experiences, like I said, there are no arrangements.
Zero.
It's pay it or face the penalty.
That's
and the
right.
penalty is literally, I'm telling you, I know people that have literally been in jail with violent criminals for their inability to pay a debt. Now, I understand that there's a child, which is very important attached to that, but yet there's still a bill. This thing will go on your credit just like any other bill, but there's no other bill that lands that. So from your standpoint, why, and this is a question, why isn't there more legislation, voices over this? Because I think it's a severe punishment for somebody, and case by case. Why do you think there's not any real conversation about it? Because and this has been going on forever. It's been forever. So,
well, for one, real conversation leads to real things happening. And if you start having some real things happening that go against what you're saying, then guess what? Somebody losing some money.
Right.
Because if they can jack up prices on arrears, if they can pay for that bed you sleeping in that jail and stuff like that, everything falls back to that dollar.
Right.
So
so child support has us hostage.
It's unfortunate because a lot of times when you hear child support, all they think about is money. That's all you see. But what they don't see is, and I can say this because I've been in this position to where I'm taking care of the bills, like you said, at my own place.
Right.
Paying child support so they'll stay off my back. And while all this is going on, people fail to realize that if you're in your child's life, you still have expenses for when you go pick that child up, when the child's staying with you, when and child support doesn't stop when you have them for the entire summer and stuff like that, you know. So while they're with me, I still have to make sure those payments going in.
Right.
So it's real easy to, unless you're just balling out of control,
right,
it's real easy to have one nostril above water.
Right.
Because you're trying to do all this stuff. And another thing, if I can add, just because a father is not paying that money doesn't mean that he's a deadbeat. Because there are a lot of fathers out there that may not be able to keep up with that payment, but they seeing their kids every single day.
Right.
They picking them up from school. They helping them with homework. I have a cousin who has children with a guy, and she said she'd never put him on child support. She had that conversation with him. She knew the relationship wasn't going to work. She told him, hey, as long as you can, commit to being in their lives physically,
right,
I'll handle the monetary.
Right.
So that's a whole, we can have 12 shows about child support and parenting and stuff. Man, it gets deep.
Yeah, and it's very, very interesting because the one thing that I don't want to get lost in this conversation is how I do understand the woman's side of it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The issue that I have though is I don't believe that women take the time to truly understand the other side because it's not presented to them in a way.
Yeah.
Now, I do know an example of, for example, I know a non-custodial mom, right? So, we probably do because at the end of the day, I know a few of them.
Yep.
But she faces some of the same challenges that the non-custodial dad, which is more prominent because naturally children go with the mother naturally. But she faces some of those same challenges. And sometimes in order for you to understand a thing,
Mm-hmm.
You got to walk through it.
That's right.
A lot of women don't understand the non-custodial piece because they've never had to do it at the end of the day. And so even the conversations, I can have a conversation with any of them, and I'm sure you can too, because you've been on both sides.
Yep.
So you can look at it objectively and say, hey, I get it. It's not hard. I mean, it's not easy on this side, making sure you're waking up every morning, getting them to where they need to go, making sure they eat every single day.
Yep.
I had to joke that I said something, so, man, these kids eat every day. We got to feed them every day. But
they don't miss a meal, bro.
So there's a lot of, there are challenges in that as well. But as you spoke earlier, there are so many challenges in not being there and worrying about those things and trying to figure out those things. And, I remember, when I first became a dad, man, I would literally travel from Florence, South Carolina, to Charlotte, to Greenville on a Friday afternoon to pick up my daughter and to spend time with her. So essentially, that travel time was 6 hours.
Yeah.
Travel on a Friday evening. I spend Saturday with her and I have to do all of that again on Sunday. And that was the weekends, right? That's our weekend. So you get that one day.
Yep.
And, and the rest of it is pretty much travel time. So that's a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a lot for somebody that just really genuinely just wants to be there.
Yep.
I would literally, matter of fact, I work for a company, they can't get me now. I work for a company not too far from me, right around the corner from here. And I would take their truck.
Oh, boy.
Just to go get my daughter. Like, I would take them type risks, man, just to go, go do it at that time, like when I first became that. So I think that there's just a lot to be understood on both sides. And the conversation usually is just so one-sided because all we hear, and of course there are guys out who don't care, who could care less about it and literally just want to nothing to do with the situation. And they could even be in a situation where they just abort and they should be there because they knew the risk and they never had those conversations at all, previous to the pregnancy. But I think that if women and men come together and have a real conversation about what happens on both sides, because I don't think women see our side.
Well, and they don't see it because a lot of them don't see it because of the relationship that they're having with the man. A lot of times when families are getting split up for whatever reason, there's so much bad energy there to where, because a lot of times when stuff go on, I try to put myself in the other person's shoes. If you're a woman and let's say, for instance, you were in love with this man, y'all have a kid together, you find out that it's not going to go the way you envisioned it to go. There's a lot of hurt there. There's pain. There's anger, all of that. So whatever he has going on, you don't care about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you ain't trying to understand why he didn't pay this or why he didn't come when he said he didn't come, because you still have that personal hurt.
Right.
You're not even thinking about the child really. And some of them don't even understand that they're not thinking about the child.
Right.
But when you take self out of it, and just when you have two people that aren't thinking selfishly and they're thinking about the child, then those kind of things can happen the way you have those conversations and understanding can happen and things like that. But most of the toxic situations that you find with mothers and fathers, you can trace it back to there's some anger and hurt in the beginning of that.
Right.
And one of them, if not both of them, don't care about anything else because they just know I don't like you, you don't like me, and that's what we riding on.
Right.
And unfortunately, we have a lot of men, women too, but mostly men that because they have a bad relationship with the mother, they take it out on the kids. I ain't coming around because I don't want to see her.
Right.
Oh, I'm thinking she gonna have something to say, so I'm not coming to see the kids and stuff. And sometimes they don't realize you're hurting her, but you're more so hurting the child.
Facts. And that's big. Like, those are all things, like, that's one huge thing to consider as a man. And I had to learn, like, as a man, if you feel as though the relationship is just not going to work out, it's just not going to work out. Something that you should consider is what you just said. And how is she going to be with my child absent of me? will her hurt or whatever her emotions are towards me be taken out on my child?
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that most guys, even when they decide that, it's just irreconcilable, they still, don't think about these things. And that it's important to think about those things. And even if you still have to leave, you need to know how to move in those situations as well, because it can get crazy. It can get crazy.
Yeah.
How often do you think women are hurt to the point where they damage the child in absence of the father? Like, you know what I mean? Or say negative things or plant negative seeds in this child's mind, which is awful. It's the worst thing that anybody could do is do that. But how often do you think that actually occurs?
Let me tell you this. Let's say out of 100, out of 100 mothers, I guarantee you at least 70 of them are doing that. And some of them I have kids with. Well, I ain't going to say some of them. That would be harsh. 2 of them, I know for a fact, told me that because they were upset that our relationship didn't work. They told me straight to my face, I'm going to tell her that you died. I'm going to tell her that you don't love her. I've been on phone calls with my daughter before. And one of my daughters, and this was many moons ago, but I've been on the phone with her before and heard her mom in the background telling her, your daddy don't love you. If he loved you, he'd be down here to get you right now. And
get out of here.
I've been through that kind of stuff.
In the background?
I've heard her. Yeah. Wow. And so when you're already doing all you can do for a man like me, that just made me go that extra mile. Like, okay, I know you're living with this woman. So who knows what she's telling you when I'm not listening. Smart. So I just have to do 10 times more to show you that, okay, dad is doing A, B, and C. So there's no way that what mom is saying is true.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, you have to think about those things, man, because you can't be there 24 unless they're living with you. You're not going to be around them 24/7. So you don't know who's putting stuff in their ears. And at some point, just like all things, if it happens enough, it starts feeling real.
Absolutely. So, especially for an impressionable child. Of course, you know what I mean? If they're hearing it and they're going to love, the one thing about children is no matter what's going on in the house, as a child, they're going to love that parental figure.
Oh, yeah.
It can be abusive. It can be, and it's very hard for a child to understand anything else.
Yep.
Because if that's what they know. Man, it's we have to be careful. And I would just really plead to mothers and fathers, either way, is to separate your feelings for each other.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I ain't saying that there are never going to be disagreements or arguments or anything of that nature, but all of the toxic behavior or just inputting any of that stuff in a child's brain is so damaging. And you see these kids, they grow up and they become adults.
Oh, yeah.
I remember I had somebody tell me that essentially what happened to them is, and not to say that there was a lot of that in their situation, but what happens is when you grow up as a young woman and you grow up as an adult, even not liking your dad or feeling disappointed or hurt by something that he did, as you grow up and when life hits you, you start to understand. I went through that myself.
Yep.
Because it enabled me to forgive my dad even more so. Because life happens to us all. And you never know how somebody's going to respond to how they get punched.
That's right.
You never know. So I think there's a lot more grace that should be going into any of these things because you never know. I think we put the hammer on people, not understand. And sometimes we know. We know. Like some women out here that are bashing these guys or some men out here that are bashing these women, they know that this person probably has some type of issue.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's stemming from something else. But yet and still, they're willing to go online and out them. We see this all the time. There's never a way, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't care what's going on. I would never go out there and publicly, just dismiss. And they do. We got screenshots and everything. You know what I mean? It goes too far. But I think the conversation just has to be in a place to where men and women can come together and say, "Hey, look, I understand it's not easy for you. I get that, but can you take a few seconds to understand that it ain't easy for me either.
Yeah.
Even from a non-custodial standpoint, it's not easy. I'm gonna take a second though, man, because I think this mimosa's starting to kick in a little bit. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna take a second, man, to give a shout out to Tipsy Sips for providing us these beautiful mimosas. I don't even know what mix this is, but if you're in upstate Greenville, Spartanburg area, upstate South Carolina, look for it, or I don't know if they ship or anything like that, but look for Tipsy Sips. I'm actually looking at Jamaica over in the corner. Your eyes low? Yo, why your eyes low like that? But yeah, check them out. Tipsy Sips. You can find them on IG. I think I've seen them there and probably anywhere if you search it. But
I'm gonna get me a couple bottles.
Yeah, man, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when we had a conversation in the Twitter space, you spoke to me about something that I know I wanted to touch on. And I'm just gonna say the word Mexico.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I just tell us, give us whatever you can give us from that story, man. I don't even know if we finished it that day.
We probably did, but yeah, that was that's one of those one of the two that I was just speaking on.
Okay,
on being toxic because relationships don't work, and part of the hurt that I had in that situation was my fault, and this is why. I did what a lot of people say a lot of women do when it comes to us: ignore red flags.
Right.
There were so many red flags that I just totally flushed down the toilet because I wanted a relationship with my son. Mm-hmm. And it was a situation where I got with this woman being reckless, and she got pregnant, and I moved because I took a job in Illinois. She was from here. And so while I was in Illinois, which I found out she was pregnant a couple of months before I had to move.
Okay.
But, I can't even put it on being young, just being stupid.
Yeah. Young and
not the way I am now, I would have just found something local just to be hands-on. Uh-huh. But then I was like, okay, well, I can still handle, being a dad. I ain't got to live there or whatever.
Right.
But she wanted more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So when it didn't happen from beginning, it just got real, real bad. Telling me doctor's appointments where at certain places I show up and I'm there 2-3 hours. Nobody answering the phone. Then when you do answer, oh, my bad, it was at this place instead. Stuff like that. And he was actually a twin. And his brother passed away. And so, at about the 9-month stage, I actually moved from it. Let me back up. I actually moved from Illinois to Georgia to try to be a family.
Okay.
I was like, I want him to have both parents in the house, got a house, did all that. That lasted about 2 months because it just wasn't happening. Yeah. And so in that process, though, child support comes up because a lot of vindictive stuff start happening. Oh, well, you gonna pay. I ain't never tried to get out of paying anyway. Right. So we go to the system. Now, the day of court, we leave court. I go to my sister's house, and she pulls up, banging on the door. She holding my son. He 9 months old, right? Mm-hmm. So I open the door. He goes trying to reach for me. I'm going to grab him or whatever. He do that to everybody. You ain't nobody special. So, but I'm keeping my composure though. I'm like, okay, whatever. So she's about to leave and she says, come out, I got to tell you something. So I go up to the car. I'm on the passenger side. She let the window down. She says, lean in. I'm like, what I got to lean in for? I can hear you right here, I lean in anyway though. She throws it in reverse. Yo, boom. Run over my foot, right? So people saw this. They called the cops. Cops show up. They laughing at me. You know what I mean? Because she's a great actress. And she's crying and stuff, telling them, oh, and I'm pregnant now too. Now, we ain't slept. I know good and doggone well it's not mine. Right. But she, in her head, she was pregnant. So they laugh at me. They don't do nothing. They leave, whatever. We go to court.
Stop right there. Hold. Stop right there. And see, this is the warning.
Yeah.
This is what I tell my sons. Like, bro, it ain't to your benefit. And not to interrupt you.
Oh,
but when you spending time with these girls or whatever, if something happens, it's on you.
You doggone right.
Trust me.
Yeah.
If something happens where authorities have to be called,
oh man, it's over.
It's on you.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. Like at the end of the day, and I've had to get out of situations because I saw that. When you see that coming, like, because now if I retaliate,
it's a wrap. It's a wrap, and it doesn't matter why. Why don't matter.
All right, my bad.
You good, but yeah, I'll shorten the story up some and get to Mexico. But yeah, so we go to court and everything, and you know the mediator's there or whatnot, and she's when she saw it was kind of not shifting her way, she said she was going into labor. So the mediator was like, right now?
Wait.
And she was like, yeah, my water broke. So to me, I'm sitting over here like this. I'm like, y'all see it too now. Wow. I've been dealing with this. And so the mediator was like, ma'am, you're not wet, nothing. And so she just runs out of there, right? That was the last time I saw her and my son. I had to hear about it through the grapevine that she went to Mexico or whatever. Now, mind you, he turned 12 last December. I haven't seen him since he was 9 months.
Get out of here.
But I pay child support every week. Yeah.
Get out of here.
So those are some of the situations, you know, and I never got angry because for some strange reason, no matter what I go through, good or bad, I always think, what part did I play in it?
Right.
And so I don't get mad because I'm like, okay, I think back to when I first met her. Right. And I'm like, yeah, it was some off kind of stuff there too that I chose to ignore because she had a banging body or whatever.
Right.
So I have to accept this is what happens when you don't do things the proper way.
Mexico.
Last I heard. Now, who knows? She could be around the corner right now. I wouldn't know.
So let me ask, and you know, is there any recourse for this? Like, is there anything that, because you're not the first person that I've heard that has said that they have a child that's just somewhere.
Out there somewhere, yeah.
And they literally pay child support for this child. I don't understand, like, how, like, let me ask you this. So do we not know where the money is going, or how does...
I know exactly where the money's going. But the problem is where the money is going at, that's where she was living before, you know, she skipped out. So the money's still going there, but it's easy to get that because that's her mom's house. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and I've talked to lawyers, man, that gets expensive, and a lot of times you pay money but don't get any result. You paying money just for them to tell you, well, if you can find her and give us the address, we can do something. So that's what I thought I was hiring you for.
So now you need a whole private investigator, and that's ridiculous to try to, that's
something else men need to realize too. Because I found this out the hard way. I thought that if you pay child support, you automatically have rights to see your child. That's not true either. And so, because I was talking to the judge, man, she don't let me see my son, man. I'm paying child support. He was like, well, that's a whole different thing right there.
It's an automatic assumption, right? I thought the same thing. You know, when I was I was 19, but I thought the same thing because I actually, you know, put myself on child support, thinking that
I did that before too.
That was how you do that, you know what I mean? And man, it's just like it didn't change anything as far as my my legal parental rights, which ultimately, I mean, and it's wild because there's probably more there. And even after this conversation, I'm going to look into it because I literally believe that we should be having real legal conversations about this. Oh yeah, there should be legislation. You know what I mean? That changes based upon these things. I mean, because truth be told, child support is a huge business.
Oh, man.
It's a huge business.
$1 billion business.
It's a huge business. So at the end of the day, we know there's some shady business, you know, some shady things going on within that business.
Yep.
And why don't we have these conversations? We have and I'm gonna be speaking with some of these folk in here, you know, in next few months and whatever. And I'm going to bring up these questions like, why aren't we talking about this? You know what I mean? And I get it. There are some people that absolutely deserve somebody to be running them down.
A lot of them.
You know what I
There's
mean?
a lot of them that deserve it, yeah.
But there are also folk that, as we stated earlier, hey, everybody run into hard times.
Yep.
The penalty ain't, bro.
The punishment not fitting the crime.
9 months. Like, I literally know people personally. I mean, I can call them right now that literally, and these people wouldn't harm a fly, literally spent 9 months behind a prison cell. I have a family member, and I'm not gonna say that this is the absolute truth.
Yeah.
But from what I hear through the family, went to jail for being $1. He didn't go to do jail time, but was arrested for being $1 behind.
It happens.
$1.
It happens. I went for being 0 behind.
Heard that
I
before
spent
too.
48 hours in jail, and same Mayco chick, same thing. She had some pulling during the courts here and stuff like that. I was at work, living in Charleston, at work. My wife at the time called me. I was just getting off. She said, you might want to hurry up and get here. I'm like, I'm on the way. What's up? She said, it's cops all in the front yard. I'm like, for what?
All in the front yard.
Yeah. I was like, for what? She was like, I don't know, but they asked for you. So I go home. I get there. They're like, yeah, you such a son. Yeah. Well, I need you to turn around, put your hands. I'm not knowing what's going on. So they cuffed me, took me to the jail, and said they weren't going to put me in a cell because they was like, Greenville, sheriff is on the way. I'm like, what in the world do you mean? They were like, they flying to pick you up. Bro, when I tell you I'm walking through the airport, shackled up like Hannibal Lecter, it's people looking at me like I'm a murderer. I'm still not knowing why. On a passenger plane, coming back to Greenville, still not knowing why. Get to the jail. They say, yes, child support.
Time out. Where were you?
Charleston.
And they flew you.
Yo.
I'm done.
They flew me. And so I get down here, and then when they tell me what it was for, I was like, oh, yeah, I know y'all got the wrong person. I said, because I don't owe any child support or whatever. They told my name, social, birth date, whole nine. They were like, nah, we got the right person. Took 2 days for me to go before a judge. Only way I got out, and this is how I knew it was her, the judge was looking at the stuff, and he said, I can't even find who authorized this. He was like, we don't fly to pick somebody up for child support. He was like, I don't understand what's going on here, sir.
Wow.
And he checked and saw I wasn't behind and anything, so they let me out. But I knew it was her because I remember when we first started talking, when she had told me she had an aunt that worked in the system and all this stuff. But yeah, you can.
Bro.
Young men, take care of yourself. Be careful. I'm telling you, be careful.
And these are the stories that fly up under the radar because, and which is part of the reason why we developed this podcast is because our voices are not, we're not the loudest in the room at the present time at all. We're not even, we're kind of muted at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's very important for our voices to be heard because these stories, you'll never hear about stuff like that.
Because we don't talk about stuff to go. And I told somebody else this before too. I said 9 times out of 10, even in breakups that don't even have children involved, I said the reason why most men look so bad, on social media and in these streets is because women do the talking about what goes on, but the man stays silent.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that went on in my relationships that were false, 100% false, but I never said nothing.
Right.
I'm like, okay, if she want to push that narrative, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I didn't say a word, but there are a lot of men like that. They don't tell what go on behind closed doors.
Right.
And not to say that women lie, but subconsciously, everybody.
They lie.
Well, sometimes, yeah. But subconsciously, everybody wants to somewhat be the one in the right.
Right.
So sometimes stories, they can tell a story, but leave certain pieces out that make them look.
It's easy to manipulate. You can manipulate numbers.
Easy.
So words can easily be manipulated. But women lie, men lie, at the end of the day. But we're not, I'm just done with the whole narrative because I think this is part of the issue as well. We got to call the spades to spades.
That is.
Because, accountability is necessary right now. And it has to be done on both sides. You know, I'm willing to bear mine. At the end of the day, let's go.
I do it too. Yeah, I'm like, I don't care what it's gonna make me look like. This is what happened. It is what it is.
This is real, but we need that on the other side. So yeah, women lie. Absolutely, they lie. They lie a lot.
Yeah,
white lies, small lies, big lies. It happens, you know. Because I mean, even in situations where I've been in relationships to where, I mean, it's unnecessary lies can be told by certain people. It's like this isn't even warrant a lie. You know what I mean? Like what's your and those people usually, man, like what you describing, those people, man, they have deep issues.
Yeah.
Like Mexico, my goodness, bro. Like, hey man, people should be warned. Like what I say, there's this guy, man. Like I used to work at a company and a guy, well, actually I work at a company, the same things happened, but this is before. Man, this was one dude that used to just call, he had the job, he would call in every single day. Man, our age, maybe younger, call in to work every single day. Now I'm thinking to myself, because I was doing that on the analytical side of it, so I was hearing some of these voicemails and messages and stuff. I'm like, what's up with bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, who wakes up every day?
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about a month straight, which first of all, foremost, that company was crazy for holding on.
Yeah, I was about to say, how you even keep a job?
But calling every single day, bro, just to say, I'm not coming. Right? So I'm thinking, bro, the energy that you spending to do that, get a job. My only thing I could think was he's trying to, draw some unemployment or something like that. It's some type of scam. But I'm like, that's a lot of energy. Now, if he'd have done that, for a week and got to the bag, cool. But bro, he did that, I'm telling you, like 2 months straight, every day. And I was like, so my point saying that is, women need to know who that man is.
Yeah.
Don't date him.
Yeah.
That kind of person, no, don't date. Unless, like I said, unless he has some type of solid hustle going on where he is lucrative, get away from that. And the same thing goes for Mexico.
But you know how that goes. That goes like what we were saying earlier. You can give a person all of the information that they need.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, them rascals will still ignore those red flags. They're just gonna do it because they're gonna find one thing out of that 10 bad. They're gonna find that one thing that they deem is good, and they're gonna hold on to that.
I've done it.
We all have. That's how I got Mako.
Like, man, I've done it.
We've all done it. I don't do it now,
right?
But we've all been in those spaces, man, where
you try to see the good, in a person,
and a lot of times that carnal spirit speaks up. That's that flesh, man.
You want what you want.
You want what you want,
right?
And you don't care what you have to do to get it. You can think about sometimes the consequences, but that desire outweighs that consequence at the moment,
right?
I mean, how many times have we been doing something and then right when it's over, you think,
I know I should have did that.
Doggone done that.
Bro, people don't believe this when I say it. But hey, man, it's been times when, right before I smash something, I pray. I'm like, I go into prayer.
I'm
gonna tell you how it goes. It goes like something like, please, please, just I know I ain't supposed to protect me because I'm here now.
Yeah,
in my mind, I already know I've committed to this thing. So just you know what I mean. Please protect me because I'm here. Like it's war now. It's a battle.
Yeah.
So let me get out of here. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, so. Yeah, man, we do things. We do things sometimes that we know might not be the best for us, might not be the best thing to do, but we're human. And the thing that I think I want people to take mostly from this conversation and any conversation moving forward, and I know I can be a jokester or whatever a lot and talk about things in a way that people might be, but grace.
Yeah,
grace. And I'm gonna say this probably on every episode moving forward. Grace to understand the other side. Yep. We don't do that enough. We only see ourselves.
That's right.
And that's too short-sighted. There's another side of this coin that can be completely different from you, that moves differently, and you don't allow that to take you out of character or for you to hate it or for you to look at it in disgust or anything. Grace. There's some like, and between men and women, it's important.
Oh, yeah.
Because women are, as much as we are alike, because we have our ways, we're so different on the other side. Give grace. I've made it a point to try my best to, when I see any behavior from the feminine side, to try to understand it more than to criticize it. You know what I mean? And I still will. I'm human. So I'm going to call some things out at the end of the day. But a lot of times that's me trying to call you to the carpet at the end of the day. Let's have a conversation about it. Because now, that's not to say everything is just acceptable. Yeah. But give grace and try to give understanding. As far as wrapping up this show, I want men, these young men, to understand, because it's important. They're crazy. There's a crazy everything out here. Man, woman, guys. If you could take anything away from it, it's understanding that ultimately, whether you want the child or not, whether you are wanting a pregnancy, you have to protect yourself from that woman's decision, because ultimately it's hers alone. So if there is ever a time that you don't want, or you know for yourself you're not ready for a child, do everything in your ability. Of course, we all know that abstinence is the absolute 100%
that's the only
way to avoid it altogether.
Yeah.
But whatever you can do to avoid that situation, because once it's done, there's nothing you can do to stop it at the end of the day. So protect yourself. Women, same thing for the ladies. If you know, let's be more, accountable on both sides and understand that these things happen, but, let's try to make it more balanced in a way, I would say. It's very hard to do, but I think we should have more conversations. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm going to be talking to some folk, because like what you just said, somebody flew.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Somebody literally flew.
Bruh, Charleston police were taking pictures.
To pick you up for something that you didn't even...
Charleston police were taking pictures. I'm asking them what they take pictures. They said we've never had anyone get flown from the jail here. So they were taking pictures and stuff.
This is wild.
Yeah.
This is wild. But at the end of the day, we know it's some bad things that go on, man. Yeah. Good to know you landed topside.
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
You know what I mean? We feet first.
That's right.
Good. So, but if anything, take away, give grace, guys. Everybody out there, we appreciate you checking out the show, man. I appreciate you with the utmost for, driving and pulling up and making sure you were here to make this a great show.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate you guys, man.
Hey, man, be looking for that invite, bro.
Oh, yeah, you got it. You already know.
Whatever, man. So, remember, follow us, Man Cave with Southside Dre, Man Cave Pod, all platforms, wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube, wherever. We there. And we appreciate y'all. Peace.